ನೋಡಿ $240 ಜನ ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ one speak for one speak against the
Good afternoon, everyone. We'll be starting off with our next session now, which is discussion session. Our speaker for this session is Professor S.N. Sudhindra. Professor Sudhindra is currently Professor, Department of Aerospace Engineering at Alliance College of Engineering, Bengaluru, and is also the Director of Public Relations at Alliance University. A graduate from Mechanical Engineering from UBCE and an M.Tech in Turbo Machines from IIT Madras, Professor Sudhindra had a brief research stint at the Structures Laboratory at the Indian Institute of Science. He started his engineering career at the Defence Research and Development Organization, DRDO, and served there for 22 years. He retired as the Joint Director and Head of Aircraft Mechanical Systems. He was also a Deputy General Manager of HAL's Design Department. Working in the field of aircraft propulsion and fuel system, Professor Sudhindra was instrumental in the design and development of critical mechanical systems of Tejas, the light combat aircraft. He has received many an award in recognition of his services, of which mention must be of National Science Day Medal and citation from the Scientific Advisor to the Defence Minister in 2002, DRDO Technology Group Award in 2007. Government of Karnataka has conferred upon him the Best Science Communicator Award in the year 2010-2011. We are honored to have you with us. Now request Professor to take over the session,
please. Very good afternoon to all of you. I understand the difficulty, especially after the lunch, sitting for a lecture is even difficult for me as well, but I will make it more comfortable for you. I will not hold you for long. That is the first disclaimer I would like to mention it here, and I would like to make it more interactive so that all of you or each one of you get some time to discuss. And the topic of discussion for the day is science education in India. I am not sure how many of you are these science students in the purest sense. I guess most of you are engineering students, isn't it? Even I am an engineering student, even today. And when we are discussing, I encompass both science and technology together. And when we talk about science education in the country, there are so many very interesting debates that take place. Just when Professor Balram was making his presentation, somebody was asking whether what are we doing? There are so many people or so much of population of the country is starving. Do we really require to invest on science and technology? And when you look at the newspapers, you find spate of suicides by the farmers. And we also have the number of agricultural and horticultural universities getting established more and more. More and more people getting entry into the agricultural and horticultural science, and they also get into teaching. So what exactly is happening is the big question that is being asked by the people who are part of the science education in the country, and who always have a suspicion on science education and basically on science. So both sections of the society knowingly and unknowingly start doubting the relevance of science education in the country. So when you look at the history of science education in India, you can classify the one during the British India, then one immediately after the country got independence, and the one what we can call the post-liberation, or the time when we are all getting the benefits out of the technology. So you can just classify in three distinct groups to start with. When Britishers started education institutions, even at that time there was a good Indian education system was in existence, and we also got the support of the kind of British system that was in place at that time, and many Indians who could afford their education in Britain or any other European countries, they all got educated. Many descended back to India at the time of independence. The first and foremost name I would like to make a mention is Dr. Homi Jehangir Baba. If Homi Jehangir Baba had not decided to come back to India, he was forcibly he was forced to stay back in India. That is another story. But none of us would have got the comfort what we are having today. Be it the advancement in the telecommunication, be it in the advancement of our transportation system, be it in the advancement or self-sufficiency in the nuclear power front. All these things are the spin-offs of the decision of Homi Jehangir Baba or Vikram Sarabhai during just before the time of independence. And the post-independent period was also very exciting. The Prime Minister of India at that point of time had a great liking for science education in India. Many science institutes were established. Even during the Maharaja time on the province of Mysore, many education institutes made its beginning. So India is blessed with a good sense of science education and the variety of science education. But over and again, we keep asking ourselves, and our the greatest scientist of the current century, Dr. C.N.R. Rao, Bharat Ratna recipient, he keeps mentioning that our research output is not as good as even Korea, or our research output in terms of publications is not as good as that of China. So there are many indicators, there are many parameters, and people also make a mention after Sir C.V. Raman. No other scientist of Indian origin and who stayed in India and started working in science never made it to the Nobel Prize. So where are we and where are we heading? At the same time, there is an interesting report coming from USA. None other than the President of USA keeps telling his own people, if you people in Buffalo, that's the province in USA, northern part of USA, if you don't work or don't put in hard work, all the business of USA related to science and engineering will be eaten away by the Bangaloreans or people from Beijing. So from Buffalo, all the work related to science and technology will get outsourced to Bangalore or Beijing. So there is one feel-good factor, and when we talk about our gross domestic product or GDP or foreign exchange reserves or the kind of facilities or the kind of amenities what we are all getting, there is a great feel-good factor. And at the same time, the people who have been practicing science, people who are in the field of science and technology, they also portray a different picture. So it starts bothering not just you, even me who have been in the field of science and technology for the last 3 decades. And I work for the industry, I work for the R&D institution. I am an accidental academician, and I picked up the academics just 5 years ago. And I also feel the statements, or I endorse the statements of Professor C.N.R. Rao at times when I sit on the interview board trying to recruit people for the position of faculty. See, when we talk about science education, it's not just blame people like you who are not interested in picking the science as your career or science as your next goal of education. We should look back, what are the kind of infrastructure we have built over the years in propagating science, and not just the infrastructure, not just the buildings, not just the laboratories, whether we have been able to attract the right kind of people in the field of education so that students get enthused. Many times now I am in the engineering college, I keep getting calls from the anxious parents, or also at times students who would like to take their engineering subject, they just asked me one simple question. Sir, which course has got this scope? So when they ask me the scope, I really mean they would like to get the employment after 4 years of education, not just the employment, the best of the employment. I was in the panel of a TV news discussion last year during the same time when CET was allotting the seats to the students. It was on a Sunday morning. I got a call from one girl student from near Haravalli. She asked me one question. Please suggest me, in Kannada she was speaking to me, ಯಾವ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಸುಲಭವಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಹಾಗೇನೆ ಆ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಮುಗಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನನಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. That's really interesting thing. I really appreciate the courage of that student who asked me that question. I said, you truly represent the present day student community. Not that even during my time people were looking at that factor, but not as many as it is today. The times when only few number of engineering colleges were in existence across the country, and students who were really within course, passionate about engineering, would have chosen the engineering field. And at that time, if I talked about 3.5 decades ago, we never thought, we never felt where we are going to land after our engineering degree. We had a comfortable 5-year course, and we wanted to learn that engineering subject which we had chosen. And we were just waiting when the course is over, we would be in the market, and we felt that somebody would hire us. But today, it is not just the time of choosing your engineering course. Maybe even during choosing your high school, your parents would start doing the reverse calculations. Okay, if you are positioned in this particular school, and after that you shift from CBSE or ICSE to state syllabus in the PU to this particular college, then if you are taken to this particular engineering college, how many companies do visit, and what is the CTC, the average CTC the student do get. So there is a lot of mathematics, there is a lot of chemistry, a lot of physics that have gone into this kind of research. So I sometimes even pity as students, you are not enjoying as much we all enjoyed our student days. You are under great peer pressure, you are under great parental pressure, you are also under great pressure from the faculty and the college management too. Now speaking on behalf of a college principal or director, I also want all my students should get placed. They should get placed in a very good company with very good CTC. So with this pressure, who is really looking into science, who is really looking into science education, or who is really bothered about the impact of not providing good science education? Let me tell you, you are all engineering students. Even in engineering college, I feel so sorry. Many a times science departments are secondary departments, or the departments which are not getting the real prominence. In fact, even in my college, I get very good science researchers, but hardly they find any great encouragement, either from the faculty around them or even the students. Many a times students would choose not to attend classes, be it mathematics, or at times they would attend mathematics or physics, and definitely they would not really bother about chemistry, or not for environmental science kind of a thing. So why and how the entire pattern has changed from the time when students really chose science as their subject of interest. Now science is just incidental. If I can get my job in Infosys or Wipro or TCS or Cognizant, even if I am having a BCom degree or a BTech degree, or is it in civil engineering or in metallurgy or material science, I am happy. I don't mind even having put in 4 years of my hard work in chemical engineering, and if I am asked to join an IT company which even give me an offshore job or onshore job, I am very, very comfortable. I don't mind forgetting entire sacrifice what I have made from my 10, 12 and plus 4 years. This is very alarming. See, one is that, yes, We don't need to reinvent the wheel. Somebody has already invented the computer. Somebody has already invented the IT facilities. Somebody is ready to give jobs to the country. Some company is ready to establish. Company has got freedom to select whomsoever they find they are intelligent or brilliant or competent. So who am I? So as student, I cannot even stop you from choosing a company. Or as when you are all students, I can't even guide you. No, your interest is in electrical engineering or your interest is in civil engineering. Better take that course than information science or computer science. We are all driven, and the whole country is driven by this market forces. We generally feel that the American way of looking at things is very good. American way of recognizing the talent is good. And American way of thinking that market forces decide your activity. If there is a great demand for this product, so that product will get produced more and more. If there is no demand for the other product, the product will cease to exist in that particular place. Similarly, whatever that was being applied on commodities, now I am really scared the entire law or policy or field is being applied on human resources. We have a very good number of IITs, the older IITs and the newer IITs, and every state is great competition to get one IIT. When it gets sanctioned, each district will compete with each other. That IIT should make a beginning in that particular district, be it the home district of Home Minister or the home district of the prominent person on the central government. So it's all, there is a great competition. Now, somebody asked me the other day, see, what is the cost per student? See, like you all look at the cost to the company. See, you want a CTC of 6 lakh rupees per annum or 10 lakh rupees per annum. From the management side, I was asked to work out the CTC or cost to the company, that is cost to the institute by educating a student. So I was just working out. It came something from 95,000 to 1,20,000 rupees if I build the required infrastructure as per the UGC, AICTE and all, State Higher Education Council and all other regulators. And if I recruit the faculty and with the right kind of qualifications and also pay them as per the AICTE, UGC and other regulatory norms, and if I start providing the laboratory space, provide the laboratory equipment, the cost to make an engineering student a graduate per year cost is something from 95,000 to 1,20,000. Then look at the market forces. I am not supposed to charge more than 1,50,000 rupees per student, even at the highest scale. I am also required to give 30 to 40% of the seats to the government quota, with the fee cap on 36,000 or now it may be 45 to 50,000 rupees. And I start giving all these things as per the market calculations or as per the market dynamics. I am a loser starting a college. So how do I run the college? When I start looking at that, definitely there will be a compromise on one of or many of these parameters stipulated by all. Similarly, many people do ask me, okay, I was asked a question by a TV channel on the day when IIT was announced for Karnataka. So what are the spin-off benefits? Why IIT should come? If IIT should come, whether it should come to Bangalore or Mysore or Dharwad or Gulbarga or Raichur, so different things. And is it really worth investing so much money? When I speak that a cost per student is something like 95,000 to 1,20,000, this same scale if you apply at IIT, it's minimum 4 times that. The cost to the government by graduating a IIT student per year is something from 4 lakh to 5 lakh rupees per year. And who is subsidizing that? The government has to subsidize, because the IITs charge something like 50,000 to 70,000 rupees as the fees. The rest is borne by the government. Yes, government has got the societal obligation. The brightest of the students should get the best of the education in the country. Then what happens after that? We select with great vigor all the students for IIT. They enroll themselves to IIT. After they graduate, where do they? Many of them choose to leave the country, choose better institutions to do their higher education, or choose the best of the companies of the world, and the rest would choose Indian Institute of Management, get trained in marketing, get trained in finance, get trained in HR, they become managers. So what happened to the metallurgy he studied in the best of the institute? What happened to the paint technology which he chose to study, or what happened to the aeronautics he chose to study from an IIT? And if that is the situation, is the state required to invest its money on all these things? This is a big question being unanswered. And coming back to the science education, my gurus are sitting in front of me, Professor Nataraj and Professor Ghanshyam. They would be able to supplement my statement. All the supposed to be the bestest, not even the bestest would go to IITs, then NITs, then the next they choose the top engineering colleges, and the rest of the engineering colleges, agriculture, medicine, everything is, every seat is filled. Only the rest of the people, excepting very few, would choose science. As he rightly said, they would prefer to choose BCom, because nowadays there is a great demand for BCom studies, and there is a great demand for even art studies. People who would like to become administrators, the IAS, would not like to study science or engineering or commerce, they would choose arts. Then the best of the colleges are there, science colleges. The best of the faculties are in and around Karnataka or in the whole country. We are not getting the real students who are passionate to study science. Then how do we address this problem? As Professor C.N.R. Rao keeps telling, then with his initiative, a lot of Indian Institute of Science Education and Research, in line with IIT, have commenced its operation. But what's happening to those graduates who are coming out of Indian Institute of Science Education and Research? They are again following their friends in IITs. Many would like to go abroad, continue their research abroad. So with this kind of dynamics that is being there, how can I demand that everybody should love science and everybody should practice science, everybody should start working in the field of science? But for if you again we normally choose selectively the models of USA, but not all the models we would like to take it here and try to practice. We talk about market forces, and we also say it is survival of the fittest. Whichever institution is good, they get students. But when we come to the primary education, I happened to be in some textbook review committees for the primary schools. An interesting fact. In fact, the other committee members, we all took that matter to the education minister. The primary school for the English medium, when there is a chapter on rainbow, the rainbow is printed in color, but Kannada medium textbook, the rainbow is printed in black and white or grayscale. We were very curious. At least rainbow should have 7 colors. The students in the primary school should be able to distinguish the colors. The answer we got, the number of Kannada medium students are more in the state, and the number of copies that are to be printed are more. Since the primary school textbooks are printed by the government and it's given free of cost, we decided all the science textbooks for the primary school in Kannada medium will get printed in black and white or in the grayscale. Whereas the English medium, the number is less. It's very, very astonishing. In the primary school, a student chooses English medium or Kannada medium. Both are either paying fee or not paying fees or paying very minimal fee at the government schools. A student who chose English medium, at least he can see the colors in the rainbow. And the poor student definitely and invariably from the rural background, he is required to see the rainbow in black and white. So you look back at this, it may appear a simple problem. It truly reflects the priorities, the policies and the kind of seriousness we are giving to the science education in the country. You look at the other, I would not even go up to the engineering or graduation, post-graduation PhD. So again, I am trying to address the primary school. Why people do not choose science as a career, or why science is no longer interesting, or why people do not passionately like science in the country. You look at I keep traveling across the state, different places at the district level and taluk level on various occasions. You go to any school in a remote corner of the state, the number of teachers required for the required number of students will never be met. Even today, we keep hearing in the newspapers or reading in the newspapers or in the TV channels or in even being discussed in the assembly. So many vacancies are yet to be filled. So many vacancies are yet to be filled. What I have been hearing or reading it in the newspaper since my school days to this day, maybe 4 decades, we have not been able to address the simple problem of recruiting the required number of teachers at the primary school. We recruit the required number of IAS officers for the state. We don't even compromise on one single number. The required number of IPS officers, we don't compromise. The required number of assembly constituencies, the required numbers of Jilla Parishad, all these things, you never find a single vacancy at any point of time. But we don't even bother recruiting let alone the right candidates. We don't even bother to even fulfill the vacancies that are in existence at the primary school. The same thing gets percolated. Again, the market dynamics play a role. People who can afford tuitions, people who can afford to come to the city, people who can, whose parents are well aware what is good for their children, they all look into the market, they choose and they settle their interest. But who is really looking into the grassroots level? And when I don't enthuse my own primary school students about science, let alone showing him with the right kind of experiments, I am not even able to provide a textbook. But we are very, very keen on providing the midday meal. In the midday meal, whether we should include banana or whether we should include eggs, there is a great debate. We even plan to provide bicycles. Somebody said we should, before even providing bicycles, we should provide the slippers or chappals for the students, because many walk longer distance. But we don't even make safer roads for the cyclists to move around. So there is a larger interest playing around who would like to take advantage of every crisis. So when we have not really addressed the grassroots level, if I am not able to provide the right kind of, then if you go to the quality of those textbooks, you would be really, you feel sorry that you knew or you know some science. There will be thousands of mistakes, maybe grammatical mistakes or the conceptual mistakes or even in the printing mistakes. We compromise, and mediocrity is the order of the day at the primary school. With this backdrop, so what should be our priority today? Okay, I like science. Should I ask my daughter to study only science? or I have a passion in engineering, should I force my neighbor's son in the engineering? These are the unanswered questions. But when you look at the report submitted by Professor C.N. Rao to the Government of India in the last 1 decade, a lot of good things have happened. But I'm not trying to say the whole scenario of science in India is in the dismal picture. If Obama is having at least one sleepless night or Bangalore or Beijing, then we have done something good. And also, again, bring back Homi Jahangir Baba and Vikram Sarabhai, who chose to stay in India, or even Professor U.R. Rao. Without their hardship, without their sacrifice, had they decided to continue their studies in UK or USA, they would have all been Nobel laureates of Indian origin, but they chose to stay in India. We are self-sufficient in certain area. For example, the telecommunication, the benefits, all of us are reaping because of the wonderful satellite system we have built in the country. Even the other day, we launched 5 satellites of Britain origin in a single launch successfully. India has got very great success story in its space sciences. The space sciences include all that physics, chemistry, mathematics, then engineering as well. So we find a great success story in that. With even the last man of the country is getting benefited by the telecommunication revolution. He can afford a mobile phone and he can find a living out of that. And not just him, even the multimillionaires of the country are able to start Indian MNCs here and elsewhere, and all of you are getting jobs after your engineering, thanks to this telecommunication. And food security issue, that point was raised. I once again try to make a statement. Despite our low productivity, despite the hardships our farmers are undergoing, the country is able to produce the food required for not just the existing population, even projected 2020 population. India is self-sufficient. In fact, the cultivable land is very less because the population is more here. And despite, we have been using the water to the maximum extent. Whatever the rainfall that falls on India, each drop is being used. That means whatever that input we get through rains, and the consumption is same, but it is alarming. And in the healthcare, we have been able to make good progress, and fuel or the power, there is a sector where we are still not fully self-sufficient. And with the advancement of science and technology, and we get photovoltaic technologies get developed, and if it becomes affordable, even the power crisis can be solved to an extent. Transportation, we are doing good, but what happens is, we are able to build satellites, we are able to build rockets, we are perfect, we are on the top of the world with top 3 countries who can build their own satellites, build their own rockets and launch. We are not able to build our own indigenous good vehicles, let alone the good vehicles. We are able to build nuclear reactors, and we can build roads for other countries. We are not able to build a good road in a metropolitan city too. That is actually a failure on the system part. Not that our concrete technologies are not good or our civil engineers are not good. We have got a wonderful set of people who are doing consulting jobs for the most advanced countries. There is some lapse on the system where we have imbibed some kind of bureaucracy. We are not able to come out of that bureaucracy, and we are not able to control the delay on our project or process implementation. With this, no country can make itself proud without the progress in science and technology. If you take the world map, There could be 220 countries. There is people say it's 225 countries. In the 225 countries, when we want to look, what is the position of India? At least on certain parameters, we are on the top of the list. If you say the country which can build its own satellites, its own rockets, which can launch and also navigate to the perfection, we stand 1 in 3, 1 in 4. Or if you look at the class of satellites we are speaking about, we are on 1 in 3. Or the kind of missiles or supersonic missiles, yes, we are very good. If you talk about the building our own aeroplanes, at least for the military purpose, we are good. We are able to build the nuclear power reactors, and if required, we can even build nuclear bombs. So all these things, India is self-sufficient. We feel proud. We are in the top 5 or top 6 or top 7. And Homi Jahangir Baba, when he was asked to take the headship of science and technology in the country, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was the Prime Minister at that point of time, asked which are the priority areas for doing research in the country. Homi Jahangir Baba said we should explore the space, we should start working with the atomic energy research. Jawaharlal Nehru laughed at him. So he was expecting at that point of time India was carrying a begging bowl for taking wheat from other countries. We are not able to produce food for all the population of the country at that point of time. Nehru expected we should invest money in the agriculture or something else. But at that point of time, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was shocked to hear the statement made by Homi Jahangir Baba. He made a statement, strength, respect, strength. If the country is strong, the rest of the stronger countries would start respecting. So, in the areas which I highlighted, the country is very strong. Today, if USSR or any European country, if they have started giving respect to the country, it's only because of the science and technological progress what we have been able to, despite all the odds in the last 65 or 70 years, we have been able to make it dent. But we have been able to make some position in the technological front, applied science, but not with the basic science. The legacy or the pride what we still carry is Jagdish Chandra Bose or C.V. Raman or Srinivasa Raman. But none of their the research work, is it the micrometer waves or millimeter waves or anything else, somebody else is making all that gadgetry and all other patents out of those basic research, or the Raman's effect or the Raman scanners what we generally call. India has not been able to make anything, or the benefits of the mathematical genius of Ramanujan, the Britain and US are taking the credit. After that, we are not being able to find an icon in the basic science. And no technology, no applied science can grow without the strong base of basic science. That starts from physics, chemistry, mathematics, and we may not immediately feel, but after some time, as we are losing the race with Korea, or we are losing the race with China, or even in the number of patents filed, we are not close to the numbers which are filed by even the smaller countries, even countries with whose GDP is much lower than India. But these are all the issues which we have not been able to address. That as I was pointing out, that we had the British era, then the post-independence era, then after that we had this post-liberation, liberalization era. This post-liberalization era, suddenly we got to know the power of India, we got to know the employment opportunities, we got to know the advantages of being in the forefront of technology. We are all reaping benefits, but this cannot sustain for long. Whatever that the pride, the position and the growth of GDP or the foreign exchange reserve will not continuously go the next 2 decades or beyond that, unless we strengthen our basic science programs that should start from the primary school and we should be able to produce is not the right word. We should be able to develop people who are very passionate to teach science. If we are able to do that, and if we are able to build the very good science institutions, and also make people aware that working in science is always interesting, enthusing, and we also treat them on par with the technologists, then there is a great scope for us to feel much more prouder in the coming days. With this, I will just stop my presentation, and I'll open the floor for discussions, and you can ask any number of questions as long as I am able to answer that. If I don't have answer, I will always consult my friends over here. Thank you very much for your patience.
We'll begin the discussion.
Hello, good afternoon, sir. When you differentiated science education in India to pre-independence, just after independence, and the present. But when we have accepted Ayurveda as a Vedic science, shouldn't we look more into the ancient Vedic sciences to develop more, just like China found out from there, this thing for malaria? Don't you think we have? Why is it that politics plays a lot of influence when it comes to learning anything from Hinduism? Why shouldn't we concentrate more on Vedic sciences? Because we were at the pinnacle of civilization when others were in the cradle.
You rightly pointed out the politics, so I would not go into the politics. And when you talk about Ayurveda, it is not just Ayurveda. See, even the concept about atom is given by Kanada, Maharishi Kanada. He mentioned that when you start dividing a object, finally we will reach a stage where it will not be divisible anymore. But his Vaisheshika, what he wrote, that entire script is missing. Okay? And also we don't really take pride about our own country. It's we always feel that whatever that comes from Western countries are good, or they would have done some good research. Okay. I was talking to Professor H.S. Nagaraj. You must, most of you must be knowing him, the founder director of BASE and a very good physics teacher. He was sharing with me what happens in Japan. He was very curious. See, Japanese are known for pride for their country, and what is that that is happening in Japan which is not happening in India? He was told when he was discussing this with the professors from Japan, up to our 5th standard, what we call 5th standard now. So 5 years of from nursery, the science that is being taught to the students over there, it's only about the discoveries or the contributions made by Japanese. They don't get to know about Newton, they don't get to know about Einstein, they don't need to get to know about Dalton. Okay? So there is a kind of pride that is being instilled at the very, very beginning of the education. So the student in Japan always feel proud that the country is very great, the country has done very great things. Whereas what has happened is, we had the ruling of the Britishers for long, about 200 years, even prior to that other Mughals and other things. We have been continuously under the influence of outsiders on the country, and many of our people still, even now, if you ask very old timers, they feel the pre-independence time must have been very good compared to post-independence. So somehow we are not being able to bring in that pride in the students, bring in the pride in our own countrymen. There is a failure. So you are talking about Ayurveda. What has happened is, as serious science followers, we all know that whatever that is written in the books, that document should be available. Many of our discoveries, many of our inventions is not properly documented or were not available for any evaluation for others. Must have been kept under lock and key or secret to the family which has been practicing. But notwithstanding that, even now that separate ministry is being formed, Ayush, where Ayurveda is also being treated or given the equal prominence like allopathy. So there is going to be a time when people would start respecting. In fact, when some Western forces were trying to take out the patent on the turmeric, the Dr. Vishweshwarya Prakash, who is now in Mysore in JSS institutions. Earlier he was the director of CFTRI Mysore. He went to the Mysore Oriental Library, got all the documents about the mention of turmeric in our Ayurveda practices, and got back the patent for India. So not that people are not really feeling good about India, or there is some forces which always would like to undo things which have been done earlier things. And as I was telling, we are not good at documentation. Even today we are not good in documentation. When we sign contracts with many foreign companies, we are not able to get the right kind of compensation when those products don't function properly. We will not be able to win the cases because we don't document it properly, or at this time of contract we don't care about all those things. Whereas Western people have been doing that very good, very rigorously. Their law firms are very firm and they participate in all such discussions. It's happened. But I am hopeful. By all those, in fact, a lot of work was carried out in chemistry in our ancient India, or even pre-independence India. For example, what we claim the Tipu sword, the sharpest one and which never get corroded, that was made in Mysore, and with the charcoal getting at the right temperature, the metal is being tempered, and in fact the nanotechnology which we speak today was already practiced there. So when the metal was at the nano state, then its properties can be frozen. So people had learned something, but unfortunately we were not able to document and claim that we were pioneers in nanotechnology. And also rocketry was again, we were good those days. And all those things, now it is coming to light, and hopefully people start appreciating, and people would give us the due credit in the days to come.
Sir, since you were associated with DRDO for a past long time, maybe I have read your article, sir. I am not sure if it was written by you. There has been a controversy with respect to the time that the DRDO takes for succeeding its project. So it's always been said that DRDO is self-sufficient, and yet India is the highest market for defense products. India is still importing a lot of the products. What is your say on this, sir?
All your statements are true, but I give explanation for each one. India is the largest importer of arms. Yes. India is also blessed with all its neighbors as enemies. No country in the world have got enemies all around. Every country, including Nepal, no country is a friendly country to India. And there is a larger geopolitics that take place with respect to India. I also refreshed you with the statement which I made few seconds ago about Homi Jehangir Baba. Strength respects strength. So Western people have realized India is a stronger country. In fact, I will just take an anecdote. I was talking to few and high school students at Puttur. And when I spoke about the contribution of India in aerospace, especially in the military and with the space application, one girl asked me, "You say that India is sufficient and technologically advanced. Whenever a nuclear explosion takes place in Pokhran, the very next day Pakistan also explodes its nuclear bomb. Very next day. When you fire your Agni missile, the very next day Gori missile is fired. You are just ahead of Pakistan by only one day. I was actually puzzled how to deal with that. It's a fact. Whenever we do that, very next day there is a repercussion or a challenging or a competent one being done by Pakistan. Then with a deep thought, I asked that student, just tell me, whenever we have flown an aircraft, our light combat aircraft, though it's delayed, we have a success story behind that. 3,000 flights, flawless, no accidents, no incidents. Not even a single aircraft produced from Pakistan has taken off and landed safely. Second, we have more than 100 launches of satellites. As you must have read in the newspaper, 45 satellites are of foreign origin. Not a single launch is a failure. We have been successful placing the satellites in the orbit. Tell me a single incident when Pakistan has launched a rocket which even carried 1 kg payload. We are talking about 2000 kg payload, and by this December we are going to launch a 4000 kilogram satellite in 36,000 kilometer orbit. And she said no. Then I told, when I was a young boy like her, when my neighbors were buying lot many crackers, when I was not able to afford that Lakshmi Patakis or atom bombs, or my parents were not allowing me to do that, I used to take a old tin, and I used to light that cracker and put it in the tin, and the sound that it generates was equivalent to an atom bomb exploded by neighbor. So when we talk about nuclear explosions, you don't really do it in real terms. You don't take 10 grams of uranium and you make a bomb and explode. You have a controlled explosion with a very minimal nuclear fuel, and try to estimate. I don't even say estimate. If I had taken this much bomb, it would have given this much amount of, it would have released this much amount of energy equivalent to so many tons of TNT. So when I do, even I don't invite somebody to assess my nuclear capability. When I explode, when I declare that this was equivalent to 1000 tons of TNT, the next day he can do an experiment as I did when I was a schoolboy, and claim that it was equivalent to 1100 tons. When we talk about missiles, again, missiles, when I talk about this has the capability of 5,000 kilometers, so intercontinental. So I don't really experiment. I don't even get a chance to experiment that. What I do is I change the attitude of the missile. So if your attitude is almost 90 degrees, it's a rocket, and if you change the attitude, it will traverse across. So when I want to do the experiment, I change the attitude, and I say if my attitude is mathematics. Friend Yogananda would have supported me. So if I change the attitude, this would reach 5,000 kilometers. If with this attitude, it is rise to this level. Again, in missile accuracy calculation, there is something called circular error probability, CEP, what we say. That means 50% of the time, if I am able to reach the bullseye, I am successful. So CEP of 5, that means 50% of the probability that it would reach 5,000 kilometers, which I have done. So only on these two counts, Pakistan would do all these things. But not even a single time it would position a satellite. They are taking the help of China. So now coming back to your so the Western world have realized during the 1998 our Pokhran experiment, there was a technological ban on the country. So that was the time when India was planning to develop its light combat aircraft. India was developing its advanced light helicopter. India was developing its cryogenic engine for the GSLV Mark III. So all this Western world started stopping their support to us, and America even influenced Russia to stop supporting cryogenic engine. It influenced Japan not to supply the basic material for the rotor blades of the advanced light helicopter. There is a composite material, and we were not good in the engine. We were not good in the flight control system. They stopped support for the light combat aircraft. But it took more than 10 years for us. And the delays are bound to happen. Nowhere in the world any military aircraft, when it starts its ab initio development, people would not be able to get the result within 10 years or 15 years. It takes 20 years. So when we tried to build an aircraft of our own, it took little longer time. And also, you should you get to know about such reports through the newspapers. In a country of ours, we have got a vibrant media. Nowhere in the world, again, the pride that is not being instilled at the student level now. Pride is not being instilled in all the levels of the country. Nowhere in the world people take great credit on the failure of its countrymen. We have such vibrant media. I was telling on another discussion, panel discussion. I will again, sorry to say, luckily, within quotes, few of the helicopters which met with an accident where our great politicians died. Those helicopters were made luckily by the Americans, not by Indians. If those helicopters were made by Indians, our TV panelists would have gone to Chandni Chowk and asked the Pani Puri wala, what's your opinion about Indian competence to build one helicopter? And there will be a big discussion on Sunday, calling diverse sets of people, stockbrokers or bankers or people sitting at home, the young students, everybody. So what's the Indian competence? Tomorrow if there is a war between India and Pakistan, India and China, India and Afghanistan, India and America, how do we fare? And how much money is being spent on? Again, I will address with one more point, not just the media. We have a system called Central Vigilance Commission. We have got a system called Lokayukta. We have got various institutions. Many of them are very publicity. I was a witness to one such incident. In fact, I can now speak because I am out of the DRDO. When we were building the light combat aircraft, we wanted to test the light and combat aircraft to the fullest extent, and there are military guidelines and the specifications which we need to meet. Unless those things are met, the military would not buy. So one such test was the lightning test. Okay, that means you simulate the lightning test. Simulating means the hardware, where all the electronic gadgets are kept, or given a 22,000 volts or beyond that electricity, and whether all those equipment pass the EMI and EMC, electromagnetic interference and electromagnetic compatibility test. So we were trying to build that test facility. Since some part of that was supposed to have come from different countries, and there was a technological ban, there was a delay. Okay. And there was a great pressure that we should fly the aircraft in 2001, highest level. And military would not fly without all the tests are complete. So we were forced to get that lightning test done outside. Then the great CVC dropped in. In fact, sorry to say, we are all engineers, we had worked for the aeronautics, we knew something about electronics, we knew something about EMI. A commerce graduate was a representative of the and his only question, whether this test facility was built to carry out the test for this LCA, yes or no? Yes. Whether this test was carried out here, yes or no? No. So before the flight, where did you test? Outside. So country has incurred this many crores loss. Fine. These things are being immediately picked up. See, we have got a wonderful system. We always credit the media if it is anti-establishment. We always believe, we always prize the media person, a young journalist who comes and demands from the Chief Minister or Prime Minister, what did you do today? So many people are dying and so there is a flood, nothing has happened. Just youngster without even understanding what is the role of Prime Minister or Chief Minister. Today he can afford to ask a question, especially if it is the visual media, he will be more active because large number of audience and all of us will clap. Look at this, actually after the question the Chief Minister was just took his kerchief and he was sweating. So we feel always happy. So any anti-establishment thing, press would be very, very happy. And unfortunately many of us would like to read in the newspaper the failures of this. One small incident, if I have time, I'll tell you. In 2010 it happened. In the December, there was a failure again within course of GSL. It was not the actual failure. And people were very, very happy. I was on the social media. Somebody in the Facebook commented, it is a high time ISRO should be closed. He sent a message in 2010. He was working in Korea for an Indian company. I really got agitated, but I mildly said, sent a message immediately to him. It's good. It's a good suggestion. ISRO should have been closed, not now, some 30 years before, so that you and me would not have even thought of the internet, not even Facebook, and not even had an opportunity to discuss about ISRO. Unfortunately, one failure of ISRO, you are trying to just gauge and say ISRO should be closed. Even now it gets closed and you will come back to India and you will start looking for a job. I just sent a message. Then some TV was carrying a program and they asked me for the panel discussion. I said normally I would avoid going to the TV channels. At this time I said I want to come to the TV channel and I would like to. People don't even understand what is the failure. Even the leading newspaper carried on the next day blast of satellite carrying rocket in the mid-air. Failure of GSLV. Somebody even wrote failure of cryogenic engine. Unfortunately, what happens is, as I was telling you, when you just change the attitude, a rocket can become missile, a missile can become a rocket. A GSLV Mark III is 630 tons and GSLV Mark II is 490 tons. Mind you, 95% of that is only fuel. Okay, and when this rockets initiates in the first phase, it gathers a speed of 1 kilometer per second. As it goes further, the speed it attains is 7.5 kilometers per second. Imagine a missile of 490 tons traversing at 1 kilometer per second. If it just changes its attitude, what would happen? Third World War would break out, right? Not a single time out of the 100 launches Indian rockets have gone in like a missile. See, there is a safety mechanism inbuilt. When it changes its stage, every time like your Coco, there should be a feedback mechanism should alert that the next system is ready and the previous system, when it completes, it should get it to the next stage. In one of the circuits, as our friend Yogananda was telling, two of the electrons decided not to function as per your probability. There was a delay in the feedback mechanism. So there is a safety mechanism inbuilt, and to avoid that, so it was forcibly on a safety measure it was blasted. But for the press, it is a failure of country. So country should bend its head with shame because we are not able to position it. So these are all the dynamics. And the delays, many a times, let me tell you, no country would like India to be self-sufficient. As I told you, we have built one of the best helicopters, that is Dhruv helicopter, and where it can carry 2,500 kilograms of payloads to even Leh and Ladakh region. And also let me tell you, nowhere in the world, people operate their helicopters from a 3-kilometer altitude, start their helicopter from the 3-kilometer altitude from the mean sea level. We are forced. So Leh is the only place in the world, every day there are 60 sorties of helicopters. Nowhere in the world, people land their helicopter without stopping their engine at the 6 kilometers to 6.5 kilometer altitude from mean sea level. Nowhere in the world. No helicopter will land. If there is a requirement which is forced on India, we need to build. We have built the helicopter to support the thousands of soldiers who are safeguarding Leh, this Siachen glacier. Many people ask, no, we could have given Kashmir and we would have been saving a lot of money. None of you would have slept. See, the Siachen glacier deliberately at the time of independence, then Britishers did not mark a boundary. It's a place where the Pakistan, India and China meet. It's an altitude of 6.5 kilometers from mean sea level, and whoever takes that position can overlook India. and can do a lot of things. Even the Kargil war, you must have realized, even climbing at a 4.5 kilometer altitude, they could take positions. So this is a 6.5 kilometer vantage position. Unfortunately, the temperatures are minus 54 degrees centigrade, and the deep crevices it is minus 200 degrees centigrade. Nowhere in the world people do operate, but we are forced to operate. We have built machines. We have built the wonderful helicopter. But when world realized that, or the Western countries realized that we have built a wonderful helicopter, they stopped through different means, engine for us. Then we built our own Shakti engine. The composite material from Japan, they built. So the project gets delayed. Today, the cryogenic engine, when we were developing with the collaboration with Russia, the support was stopped. After that, when we built our own cryogenic engine, it's going to be integrated soon. Russia is coming with a better engine to us. When we are able to build our own LCA, even the flight control systems, hardware and software is totally indigenously built. It is one of the niche technologies. We have been able to make a mark. None of these IT companies helped us in building that. Only our people working in ISRO, HAL and DRDO built that robust system, which was even tested on Sukhoi Mk-30 and is also being exported elsewhere. So when we were able to build, the host of countries from Rafale, everybody is in a queue to give the better aircraft than LCA. When we were worried with building our own aircraft, people were arm twisting us with the flight control system, hardware and software. When we are not able to build a rocket, they were arm twisting with the cryogenic engine. When we are self-sufficient, all the countries are in the queue to give us. So there is delay, and there is not going to be a war, major war in the near future. Pakistan has realized, except in doing some mischief. So people need not worry. There is a delay. And finally, one more thing I would like to tell you. Even if there is a delay, even if there is a increase in the budget, the money is spent in India. If I am buying a Rafale aircraft with almost 900 crore each, the entire money goes to France. But if I build LCA with 200 crore rupees, the entire money gets invested in India. Sorry, I took longer than the time.
On behalf of all of us present here today, I'd like to thank Professor H.N. Sudhindra for moderating such a wonderful discussion on a topic that is so relevant in the present time. I will request KVG sir to please present us H.N. Sudhindra sir with a token of our gratitude. Thank you, sir. We will soon begin with the fourth and concluding session of Viveka Jagriti Samavesha 2050. Thank you.